People don't fall in love with your face, your job, or your words, not truly. Love is energy, presence, and at its core, there are only two reasons someone truly falls for you. Either they feel seen or they feel safe. Everything else fades, looks change. Words are forgotten, but the feeling of being understood or protected stays. If you know which one you offer, you'll understand why people come close and why they stay. Stay with me until the end, because the second reason is the one that builds not just attraction, but unshakable connection. The way you make them feel about themselves. You can have money, you can have muscles, you can have a name that turns heads, but none of that leaves a lasting mark unless it changes the way someone feels about themselves when they're with you. Because at the end of the day, people don't fall in love with your success. They fall in love with how they feel in your presence. Not with your story, but with how their story feels when you're in it. Not with your image, but with how their reflection looks through your eyes. There's something unspoken but unmistakable about a man who doesn't need to impress. A man who doesn't fill the space with noise, but instead holds it with depth. A man who doesn't demand attention, but earns trust with his silence. That kind of presence is rare, and people don't forget it. Because the truth is, most people walk through the world guarded. They wear masks. They rehearse roles. They present the version of themselves that feels acceptable, liked, or safe. But when they're with someone who sees past all that, someone who listens without judgment, looks without agenda, and speaks without trying to fix or dominate, they exhale, for maybe the first time in a long time. And that exhale, that's the beginning of love. Not fireworks, not obsession, not adrenaline, but the deep, almost holy comfort of finally being real. That's what they remember. That's what makes them stay. The way they feel heard. The way they feel held, not physically, but emotionally. The way they feel understood without having to perform for it. When you become the one person in their life who makes them feel safe to be honest, you become irreplaceable, not because you're perfect, but because you see them. But it goes even deeper, because real connection isn't just about being a mirror for someone's wounds, it's about being a mirror for their light. People don't want to be tolerated. They want to be seen as valuable, as powerful, as someone with potential. When they're with you, do they feel braver, calmer, more grounded? Do they feel like the best version of themselves is possible again? That's the mark of someone who builds love, not just feels it. Because love isn't performance, it's permission. And the person who gives someone permission to be their full, flawed, growing self without guilt or comparison becomes unforgettable. The irony is, we spend so much time trying to be liked, we forget that what makes someone love you isn't your charm, your confidence, or even your intelligence. It's your presence, your ability to stay still while they unravel, your ability to see their pain without turning away, your ability to sit with silence and not fill it with advice, distraction, or ego. That's where the magic happens, in stillness, in grounded awareness, in the strength to let someone else show up, emotionally exposed, without trying to rescue or rearrange them. It's not about making someone dependent on you. It's not about being their therapist. It's about holding space so well that they remember who they were before the world told them to hide. That kind of man, the one who makes others feel safe, seen, steady, doesn't need to chase attention. People are drawn to him, not because he's loud, but because he's quiet in all the right places. So stop trying to prove you're worthy. Stop leading with status. Stop performing for attention. Because love, real love, doesn't land on the person who tries the hardest. It lands on the one who is most deeply present. The one who doesn't flinch when truth shows up. The one who doesn't panic when emotions get messy. The one who makes you feel like you're still lovable, even when you're not impressive. People will forget your clothes, your quotes, your posture, but they will never forget the way they felt when they were around you. Make that your legacy. Because at the end of the day, they're not falling for your charm. They're falling for your calm. The way you treat yourself. This is the one no one teaches. The one that gets buried beneath pickup lines, dating tips and strategies to become more attractive. But at the core of every relationship that either grows or decays, this principle lives quietly, unnoticed by most, but felt by everyone. The way you treat yourself is the blueprint for how others treat you. It's the invisible script that tells people whether they should respect you, challenge you, follow you, or ignore you. And it has nothing to do with your words, it has everything to do with your presence. People are perceptive far more than we think. They pick up on the way you speak to yourself when you fail, They notice whether you rush through your routines or move with intention. They hear it in the tone you use when you talk about your body, your time, your habits. They see it when you say yes to things that violate your peace, when you avoid conflict to stay liked, when you joke about yourself in a way that reveals more insecurity than confidence. These aren't conscious red flags, they're emotional signals. They say, this man doesn't value himself fully. He breaks his own word. He doesn't protect his time. He abandons his own needs. And even if the people around you don't articulate it, they feel it, and they respond accordingly. You teach people how to love you by modeling what that love looks like. If you set clear boundaries and honor them without apology, they follow your lead. If you take care of your body, your mind, your home, they begin to respect your space. If you speak with calm precision instead of insecure noise, they lean in. And most of all, if you carry yourself with quiet dignity, not arrogance, not bravado, but that calm certainty that says, I know who I am and I act like it, they either rise to meet you or they walk away. And either response is a win. But when you abandon yourself even subtly, when you joke about your standards just to be accepted, when you tolerate disrespect because you're afraid to be alone, when you lie to yourself about what you want or need, the people around you mirror that. They test more. They push harder. They disrespect you not because they're bad people, but because you've signaled that your self-respect is flexible. And in a world that's already designed to pull you in every direction, the moment you let others steer your internal compass, you lose your center. Self-respect isn't loud. It doesn't need a spotlight. It doesn't wear designer clothes or scream into the void. It's a tone, a way of being. It's in how you wake up, how you eat, how you speak, how you move. It's in whether you keep your word to yourself when no one's watching, whether you go for that walk when your body wants to quit, whether you tell the truth even when it's easier to lie. That's what creates real presence. And presence is what people remember long after your words are gone. When a man walks with dignity, people feel it. He doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't need to be right in every room because he's already right with himself. And that kind of energy is magnetic. Not because it's trying to attract, but because it doesn't need to. It draws respect without asking for it. So if you want better relationships, don't start with what others should do. Start with what you do when no one's watching. Do you betray your routines the moment stress hits? Do you shrink in conversations where you should stand tall? Do you ignore your own inner compass just to avoid someone else's disapproval? Because here's the truth. You are always training people how to treat you. Every day. Through every action, every word, every boundary kept or broken. They're watching. And more importantly, your subconscious is watching. And when you live in a way that dishonors your values, your confidence slowly dies. But when you live in a way that aligns with your highest standard, even when it's hard, your confidence becomes untouchable. So start showing up for yourself the way you wish others would. Protect your peace, defend your time, speak with weight, walk with presence. And most of all, never abandon yourself to be liked. Because the second you do, the people who like that version of you were never for you in the first place. And the people who are, they'll be drawn not to your performance, but to your presence. Because real love doesn't fall for your mask. It rises to meet your standards. People don't fall in love with the things you say. They fall in love with how they feel when they're around you. Not the show you put on, not the masks you wear to impress. Not your job title, your followers, or your bank account. None of those things last. Because the truth is, people don't crave perfection, they crave presence. They crave the sense that when they're with you, they're safer, calmer, more themselves. That they don't have to perform. That your energy doesn't demand, it allows. It holds. It listens. It respects. And if you want to know why some relationships fall apart, why some people drift even after you gave them everything, it's because deep down they weren't falling for your stuff. They were falling for how your presence made them feel. And when that presence was lost, when your self-respect slipped, when your energy became anxious, when your identity collapsed into neediness, they felt it. Not consciously, but emotionally. And something in them pulled back. Because love doesn't bloom in desperation. It blooms in alignment. So here's the hard truth. If you're chasing love, you've already lost it. Because the very act of chasing sends a signal that you believe you're not enough right now, that you must become something different, more appealing, more likable to be chosen. And that energy is heavy. It's unstable. It's unattractive. It makes people second guess their connection to you, even if they can't explain why. Because no one wants to love someone who's constantly abandoning themselves just to be accepted. The people who keep love, who attract loyalty, depth, and lasting presence are not the ones who beg for attention. They're the ones who hold attention without trying, because they've built a relationship with themselves so solid, so non-negotiable, that being around them feels like entering a grounded, sacred space. They don't flinch when you pull away. They don't panic when silence shows up. They don't chase not because they don't care, but because they've learned that love born from performance will always require more performance to keep, and they're done with that. Real love, lasting love, doesn't come from strategy. It comes from self-respect. And self-respect starts with how you treat yourself in the dark, when no one's watching, when there's no audience to clap for your effort. Do you keep your promises? Do you stay grounded when your emotions flare? Do you say no when your peace is on the line? Or do you fold, chase, react, hoping someone else will give you the worth you haven't given yourself? Because people don't love you for how much you sacrifice. They love you for how deeply you're centered, for how present you are with them, not because you want something, but because you've cultivated a life that doesn't need anything from them to feel whole. That's the paradox. When you stop needing to be chosen, you become the choice. When you stop trying to prove you're worthy, people start treating you like you are. When you stop bending to be loved, you start attracting people who love your shape as it stands. So stop performing. Stop over-explaining. Stop softening your tone just to keep the peace. If someone can't hold your truth, they can't hold your love. And if someone walks away because you finally showed up for yourself, let them. You're not here to shrink for anyone's comfort. You're here to stand. And the people who are meant to walk beside you will not ask you to diminish your strength just to stay. Start protecting your energy like it matters. Start showing up for your body, your breath, your focus. Stop sharing your time with people who don't hear you, don't see you, don't value your presence. Learn to sit with yourself not as punishment, but as a declaration. I am enough company for my own growth. Because if you can't sit with yourself in silence, you'll keep trying to fill that silence with people who don't belong. And every time, you'll wonder why they leave. They leave because they were never yours to begin with. They were borrowed, temporary, triggers, not partners. But once you build your center, once you stop chasing and start becoming, everything changes. You no longer feel afraid of solitude. You start respecting your peace like oxygen. You stop craving the highs and start loving the calm. And the people who meet you in that space, the ones who don't disturb your stillness, but add to it, those are your people. And you won't have to beg for their love. You'll feel it in their presence, in their consistency, in their joy, just to exist beside you without drama, without games, without needing to fix or be fixed. That's the love that lasts. So this is your final reminder. Stop chasing. Start aligning. The more you value your own energy, the easier it becomes for others to feel it too. Because energy doesn't lie. It either nourishes or it drains. It either anchors or it disturbs. And when your energy is clean, still, and whole, it becomes magnetic. People want to be near it, not because it gives them something, but because it awakens something they forgot they had inside. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose yourself so fully that the only people who enter your space are those who speak the same language: respect, presence, peace. Let that be your legacy. Because when you live in alignment, you don't have to beg. You are the choice.